them in these various social networks. So it is an investment of time. It's an investment of energy. So you have to be targeted in who you want to get to know. But if you really want to get to know somebody, that's the way to do it. I've had numerous people just retweet me, help me out on Twitter, because I often will post questions. When people retweet me, I pay attention. On Facebook, when they give me a link to something that I'm interested in or that's kind of furthering my interest in a subject I've already mentioned, that's really helpful. So if you can present yourself as helpful, useful, somebody to pay attention to, that is a really great entree. And then that person will be much more likely to take a meeting. So there are people who I've met on Twitter and Facebook because they've actually replied to things that I'm doing and shown an interest in me, and a true interest, not just some casual flippant interest, but a true interest over time. And we've become friendly. And I've reached out to them, and now I'm helping them. So
absolutely,
that's really good.
So I want to devote a good chunk of time to talking about interviewing and how we can apply some of these tips to actual job interviews where you do finally get a face-to-face meeting. So Laurel, can we talk about some of the strategies for making an impression, a good impression, once you do get that face-to-face job interview? So it's not a casual coffee or lunch, but a formal interview.
A real interview. Well, you guys probably all know some of this stuff, but I'm just going to reiterate it because it's so important. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is remember that the personal is now melding with the professional as never before, as you're seeing on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and all these places. People are talking about their personal lives and their professional lives all mixed up, right? And so the office is becoming more and more of a place where you expect to be personal. And so I would say in the interview, you should use those same strategies I was talking about at a party. You need to make people feel comfortable in 10 seconds. You need to make them feel that you are available, that you're interested, that you're truly interested in them and in the company, and appeal to them on a very personal level. It's all about chemistry. People want to work more than ever with people who they love, who they like, who they look forward to. It's more time. You're spending more time with these people in the office than you are with your spouse or your significant other often. So you want it to be quality time. So how do you do that? Okay, so do your research. Research the person, not just the company. Research the company, for God's sakes. You must know everything about that company and about where the company's heading, what the department is doing. You can do all of that now over the internet. I mean, it's so much easier now than it was 5 or 10 years ago. Take advantage of these resources. Go on the company's press page. They often will have links to press. Read every single item, their press releases, everything that's been written about them. Read their about page. Go in there, dig around, really dig hard. Even in big companies, you can dig around and find just the right information that you need. But also research the person. Do a Google search on the person's name. Go to their Facebook page if possible. Friend them on Facebook if possible. Do whatever it takes to get to know that person and look for their Twitter feed, look for the company's Twitter feed, and just really be up on the initiatives, the interests, the likes, the emotions that are going on at the company and the person. And when you meet them for the first time, don't seem like a stalker, obviously, but just throw out, hey, I saw on Twitter that you're into golfing. I'm a real big golfer myself. Did you ever get to Florida to that one place? Blah blah blah. Just light banter around something of interest. Without scaring them. Just show them that you have a true interest in them. And that's my biggest advice for the interview.
Actually, if I can chime in, I feel like that banter can also help with nervousness too, because it gets you talking and you can breathe. So it's also a good strategy for combating that.
Oh, so that's how you basically, I would say, establish your likeness and likability. So likeness meaning likeness with the person, and likability, same kind of idea. But the other way to do it is to mirror them. This is a classic sales technique. I mean, there's a lot you can learn from salespeople. Salespeople are doing what you need to do, which is sell yourself, right? So I would buy books on sales techniques. But one of the sales techniques is called mirroring. And what you do is, when you're with the person, mirror their body language. If they're sitting back, you should sit back. If they lean forward, you should lean forward. It's really simple and it seems weird, but it actually works. You should be smiling no matter what. No matter what, make them feel good. Smile and be happy. Oh, be passionate. Very important. Passionate, upbeat, positive, confident. All those things. Again, wear your favorite outfit. Look at yourself in the mirror before you go. Psych yourself out. Practice. Being confident and passionate. It doesn't matter that you've been out of work for 10 years. You need to go in there and just say, like, I'm can do. I can make it happen. I'm your typical can do person. So that's really helpful.
The mirroring part, I think, is really interesting. It makes me think of every Barbara Walters interview that she's ever done. And have you ever noticed her outfit always matches the interview subject's outfit?
No.
It's like this strange thing. If they're wearing jeans, she's wearing jeans. If they're in a formal suit, she's in a formal suit.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's sort of like it sets a tone of equality. Oh, yeah. And, I mean, so, you can look at that far beyond dress code and just think about what that means in terms of interaction.
Yeah,
as well.
Dress for success, too. That's the basic.
Yeah. So Laurel, can you think of interviews that you've done with people that you've hired that really stand out? Like an example of something that someone did that just really made them rise above the other candidates.
I'll tell you, more importantly, every moment that you're out in the public, you're interviewing. I've seen so many people blow it in an interview in an elevator. They didn't know they were being interviewed. But I was there watching them, listening to them, and thinking, not going to hire her, right? We're talking around the city, not just in my building. But I also have been in an elevator with somebody who impressed the heck out of me, and later I hired. It was a sales guy. And we just started chit-chatting, and he was smart, interested, passionate. He was interested in me. He knew about my company. He was very upbeat, and I said, we should keep in touch. And he gave me his card. And literally a year later, I hired that guy. That was Chris O'Hara.
Great story.
But other people didn't realize they were being interviewed, and they didn't get hired. But I might have hired them. So I consider myself always, and I'm not just the only one. I hear this all over from CEOs all over, that they are constantly on the lookout for talent. They are looking for talent everywhere. Every time they meet somebody, at a coffee shop, online, at the bank, at an event, at a conference, whatever. I often see people letting it all hang out at a party, right? They feel like, well, I don't have to worry. I'm not looking for a job right now, and, I'm just here at this party and I'm bored. And they get a little tipsy and they start talking crap about their company, and they start saying bad things about their coworkers or their boss. And they start letting it all loose, and they can't do that. You can't do that. You have to always be interviewing, whether you are or not. So just realize that.
Are there any instant turnoffs?
Just, I would say not knowing enough, the reverse of doing your research. So people who come into the interview and don't know anything or enough about the company. I've seen that so many times. It's just horrifying. I can't even begin to understand why. It's a waste of my time and theirs. So you have to be really, really interested in the company when you come in. Not seeming directed, goal-oriented, just seeming kind of like not sure.
Yeah.
So even if you aren't sure, pretend you're sure. Fake it till you make it, right?
I agree. So, Laurel, we have a lot of questions.
Oh, great. Okay.
So let's move to the Q&A portion here. Let's see. So from Suzanne, say you don't know anybody to make those introductions. How do you meet someone that you want to meet?
Okay, so you don't realize this, but you have 6 degrees of separation from any human being on the planet, right? You've heard the expression 6 degrees. It's your job to do the research to find out how you are connected to that person that you want to meet. And if you're not, maybe you're connected to someone at the company that you want to meet as well. So it doesn't have to be that person. It just has to be someone at that company. That's what I always do. I'll look in LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, and I'll search against the person's name, and if I can't get through to that person, I'll search against the company name, and I'll find somebody there who I can connect to. And that person definitely knows the person you want to meet. So you often have to start a little bit, lower than you think you do.
So Suzanne also has a follow-up. She said, also, say you want to meet someone that could be the potential hiring manager, and there's no party, but you want to cold call them. Is that a good idea? All networking doesn't happen in social settings. So do you cold call someone? Do you cold call a hiring manager?
Do you know if there's a job there? I mean, if you don't know if there's a job there, I mean, you can always send a really nice introductory email explaining why you love the company, why you really think that you're a great fit, and then enclose your resume just in case something ever comes up. I mean, I've had people introduce themselves very nicely over the years, and I will put it in a file, and I will hang on to that resume and cover letter. But the cover letter has to be killer. It has to be really targeted and really thoughtful, not too short, not too long. I mean, the cover letter will sell it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's true, that you've done that many times over the years, like passed me somebody who's really great who just happened to contact you via email,
Totally.
which is a complete cold call.
Yeah.
So it can work, I think.
So I wouldn't expect them to actually meet you. I would expect them to just take you seriously from your email.
So Kim has a question. I'm in journalism and trying to move to LA to be with my fiance. I don't know a soul. Would it be worth the risk to move there without a job and try to make contacts? It seems daunting to just apply. It seems daunting to just blindly apply for jobs. So is it worth the risk to actually move there and try to make the personal contact?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I would just apply to jobs and have a local address in your resume. I would fake it till you make it. Basically put wherever your fiance is going to be living, if you have that yet. But when you have that information, or put an LA number in there, get an LA number, and start sending out resumes like that and see who bites. Because, you know, they are psychological. These things are psychological. If you have an out-of-state resume, they won't even look at it. So you need to kind of fudge a little bit, and when you get them on the phone, just say, yes, I can be at that, I can be there in a week. And make sure you can be there in a week, because, you want to be flexible.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the other tried and true trick there is to say in your cover letter, I'll be in LA this week. Could we set up a meeting? I feel like...
I don't know. If you say that...
I've had that work.
If you say that, you're indicating you're not in LA. So I would say it's not a good idea, especially in this market. I would just not address it at all.
Okay. So another question, this one from Julia. She would like tips for reconnecting with former colleagues who may now be in a position to hire you.
Oh, that's a good question. As I might have mentioned earlier, you're always connecting, right? You don't need anything or anybody. So you're going to go with confidence to the former colleagues. You are not going to tell them you're looking for a job at all. You're not going to tell them you need anything. You're just going to reconnect and take them out for coffee and get to know them and hear about their lives, right? And you're going to form a relationship. And that relationship will take time. And you are not going to ask them for a job. Do you understand me? They are going to ask you to work for them. That's what's going to happen. That's what happened with me. It can happen with you. If you go kind of indirectly, you will get a direct request. And the way to do that is to come across confidently. I don't need anything. I'm just looking around. I'm having a good time. I'm between stuff. I have opportunities left and right, but I want the right thing. Hey, how's it going at your firm? Do you like your job? Do you love it there? It seems like a great company. And then, gradually you introduce the idea of, wow, if you ever hear of anything, let me know.
Sounds great. I think that's terrific advice.